5 months ago, we filmed a documentary in Tanzania about the activities of Jahl. A lot has happened since then, and I have to say, mostly very good things. Shortly after we released our documentary, an activist and journalist from Kazakhstan traveled to Tanzania, where she personally verified the testimonies of the witnesses we had spoken to, but she went even further. She began to delve deeper into the case of a minor girl who said that Jahl had raped her and cut her with a knife.
The girl we are talking about, let's call her Violet, showed the journalist the house that Jahl had been renting, where she says the entire incident took place. She also showed her the scars from the knife attack and took her to the woman she had run to that night. Another witness, Modest, who was present in the same house that night, also spoke about what happened. The investigation by the Kazakh journalist is certainly very important, but the most important thing that has happened and what has changed is what we're going to show you in this film.
Based on our film and the work of the Kazakh journalist, a legal representative who specializes in the protection of children and who has experience with cases of sexual violence reached out to us, and that's exactly why she decided to stand up for Violet. But she didn't just stand up only for her. She stood up for all children who have ever become victims of similar abuse. And that's precisely why we are now in Tanzania, to find out the progress of the criminal complaint and what stage the investigation is at.
Before we show you everything we've found out, we would like to thank all the people who, after the release of the first film, expressed the need to help the victims in Tanzania. It's proof that good people do exist. And yes, there are people like Jahl, his protectors, and fanatical fighters against cults. But fortunately, there are far more of those who have common sense and aren't indifferent to human suffering.
And because people learned about Violet's story, her life is beginning to change. After years spent on the street, she finally has a chance to start a new chapter in her life. She has a new home. She's pursuing her dream and training to become a hairdresser. And above all, she has hope and a spark in her eyes.
Do you know what's most absurd about the whole situation? While a lawyer in Tanzania is fighting for children's rights, journalists in the Czech Republic who are obsessed with anti-cult ideology completely ignore those same rights. Instead of listening to the witnesses, they started claiming that Jahl is an innocent victim of a smear campaign.
And that's why what we are going to show you in this video is so important. First, we'll take you straight to the office of Violet's legal representative, who told us in an interview how the entire case is developing.
In some of my initiatives to look after children, I came across a story about and the fact that she had been abused at the age of 13 by Jahl. I took it upon myself to look for her. I spoke to her. I spoke to the people around her, the people that came to her rescue when the incident occurred. So I plan to help her, which I'm already doing, to get to the police station so that she could make a statement and so that she could initiate an investigation against Jahl.
As the impact of what happened to Violet, after everything that happened, she was in a very worse situation because even she didn't return back to the person who was taking care for her. She was like Mrs. Tristedy. She didn't have any courage again, and she left it from school because everything went wrong because of Jacob what did to her, and so she didn't go back there, and she decided to go to the street.
I have already gone to the police station. I have already spoken to 3 police officers of the gender desk, because sexual offenses, especially involving children, they are reported first to the gender desk. So I had to prepare them that I would be coming with a victim of Jahl. And I also spoke to one immigration officer about the details of Jacob. And they said they have information. So they asked me to write a formal letter requesting for information, and they would give me an official statement. We'll be going to the police station, we'll be going to the hospital for medical examination, and we'll eventually be going to court to seek justice. And other kids probably who have been abused by Jahl. Yes, but as far as is concerned, she said she has been raped. She has also been known against the order of nature. So there are 2 offenses, sexual offenses involved.
Did she describe to you any details?
Yes, she did describe so many details, much of which I cannot disclose on camera because I owe her a duty of confidentiality as her attorney. I can't disclose much, but she was able to even show me the scars that during the incident and after, she was also assaulted. She incurred some wounds, so I could see those with my own eyes.
This is the step that is going on, but also, as I told you, now she's happy, and she was very happy to get this assistance. Now she's having like a new chapter of his life and another hope, because she's having a place that he can stay and going again to get other skills like hairdresser. And she was happy, like, this is a dream now. I'm going to be, maybe in the future, I'm going to have my own salon and just proceeding with my life.
She never sleep in the street anymore. So I'm happy that she find a place to call home. And also we are going to the court. So her right will be, she will get her right, of course. So I'm super happy. Also, I just became a daddy 2 months ago. And thank you for all people who support, because also I have a daughter, so I have to stand for the children's rights. So I will stand for and thank you for everyone who involved with this.
In fact, I was discussing the matter with a good friend of mine, a lawyer friend. Her name is Judith. She said, we were both thinking, and she said, what you guys are doing is great. But for instance, just taking or collecting all the victims and finding them, let's say, giving them a voice, let's say, helping them meet a lawyer. We think that it should not end there, because most of these children have no guardians, they have no parents. If there could be a possibility of making an arrangement where you have rescued this child, this victim of an abuse, and you place them, let's say, in a good center for rehabilitation, for psychological work, so someone can meet them there, they can take good care of them and make sure that, for instance, in the case of she dropped out of school so that they go back to school. I hope that this is a continuous process, does not just end here.
I decided to file a criminal complaint because I found a lawyer who decided to reopen the case with me, because Jacob did cruel things to me. He raped me and committed sodomy against me. But I also stand up for other children in the world, so that Jacob can't do such things to other children anymore. And I'm also grateful to my lawyer for defending me and reopening my case because of what Jacob did to me. I also stand up for other children in the world, in Africa and in Europe. And again, I'm thankful to my lawyer for supporting me. And I want to thank everyone who watched my first video and decided to help me.
What do you think? What would be next if you couldn't run away? What would happen if you couldn't run away?
He would totally have killed me.
So you heard it yourselves. The legal representative in Tanzania, who saw our film and spoke with the journalist from Kazakhstan, took an interest in Jacob Jahl's case herself. She sought out Violet and other witnesses. She documented her entire story. She started addressing this matter with the police and is prepared to represent Violet in the criminal proceedings for rape and sexual violence, crimes that carry long prison sentences in Tanzania.
Before we show you how some Czech journalists reacted to our work, we want to express our gratitude to the legal representative for her courage and incredible dedication to this case. We are truly grateful that she invited us to Tanzania precisely at the time when we could see with our own eyes how Violet's life is finally starting to change for the better.
We went with Violet to the market where for the first time in her life, She got to choose clothes for her own wardrobe. We visited the place where she is training to be a hairdresser and fulfilling the dream she talked about for years, and we saw the beginnings of her new home, a place thanks to which she no longer has to survive on the street, but can finally have her safe haven.
This is what it's all about. Giving people who have been through hell a chance not only for a fair trial, but above all, for a new life. And this is what true journalists, guided by ethical principles and conscience, should be doing. They should protect society and stand with those whose rights are being violated.
But when we look at what's happening in the Czech Republic, we see something completely different. While the lawyer in Tanzania is initiating legal action against Jakub Jahl, some Czech journalists have sunk so low, both morally and humanly, that they have published articles in which they completely ignore the victims' testimonies. They show absolutely no interest in their statements and trauma. They simply don't care what these people have been through. Instead of traveling to Tanzania themselves to verify the situation, these journalists did not check anything at all, yet they still publish articles portraying Jakub Jahl as an innocent victim of an alleged smear campaign.
For example, in an article on Irosglas, Mr. Dvořáček writes that, according to the witnesses he contacted, the testimonies in our documentary are fabricated. But which witnesses did this journalist actually speak to? We have no idea. In his article, the only witnesses he cites are 2 anonymous volunteers. No names, no faces.
And so, according to the journalist, these 2 anonymous voices carry more weight than dozens of real identifiable people from Tanzania. Apparently, these 2 anonymous volunteers carry more weight than actual Slovak volunteers like Monika Shurinova, Tatiana Finikova, or her mother, who repeatedly sent thousands of euros to the account of Jahl's organization, believing she was helping to build an orphanage for African children. But the journalist didn't speak to these people at all. Even though they are key witnesses, he gave them absolutely no space to comment on the case.
Instead, the article gives us long quotes from Jakub Jahl himself, who claims that all Africans will allegedly say anything, that they allegedly don't understand the consequences of their words, because there is supposedly no rule of law, like in Europe. Isn't this an openly racist attitude, one that assumes African testimony is inherently less trustworthy than the words of a European citizen? Even more disturbing is that the author of the article relays these claims without any critical analysis, and in fact presents them as part of a legitimate defense.
We deliberately translated these articles and let the witnesses from Tanzania read them for themselves, and their reactions speak for themselves.
Yes, we saw how people, they are commenting, how people, they are saying the mass media. Because so after being posted there, some of them that are lying, some of them are saying that Margaret and David are distracting Jacob's life, which is not really. They are speaking the truth. They came to reveal the truth from Africa and what happened by that time. We are speaking something which is very serious. And it is something that is very painful for any parent who is having kids and having even the youth is that he planned them to have a better future. This is very painful because what he did here and what we are witnessing, it is true. No one paid here for being given money so that he can speak. Of course, for example, what I'm saying and why also I'm standing to speak this is because also I was the part. He took me to the jail. I have to stand for this because one day some of the people also confess the same thing from Jacob in different place. So we have to stop this and speak the truth because it brought many bad impact, as I said earlier, that some of the people, they learned to use drugs. Some of the people, he were pulling them to enter into Satanism. Some of the people got like conflict between the friendship they had, you see, between them because of Jakub Jahl. Because he used to buy this one to this one, so to get access and to proceed in other stages of what he wanted to do here in Tanzania. So you have to be very careful. And I'm really very serious in this one to remind you, please, you have to work for this one. We are not lying, we are saying the truth. If you think maybe you don't understand the situation, it's better you come to the real concrete situation here and you can see what happened.
A very important point is that Jakub Jahl is not a victim of Alatra. I filmed a video about Jakub Jahl about 3, nearly 4 years ago. It is publicly available on YouTube. Not a single journalist reached out to me. Actually, I contacted a lot of journalists, including those from well-known websites like Seznam, DVTV. I contacted them all. I have all the documents, not a single one responded to me. But suddenly, once the case with Alatra started, everyone is now defending Jakub Jahl as if he's the victim. I'm grateful. I really have to thank Marketa and David for taking this on, for digging into it themselves, for sacrificing their own time and money just to travel to Africa and find out the truth. So no, it was not Alatra, but I who was the first one to bring it up.
How would you comment it?
Yeah, I just say this is a reality, and what Jacobo did is quite true, and this is not like we are acting. This is really, the guys been here to Africa, they pay us zero. So just because we don't like what Jacobo did, then we speak it our truth, because he just did bad to our little brother, our young sister. So we just want everyone in the world to see how bad Jacobo did to do bad thing for the children. We have a paper here. We sign, so 100% is true, and we speak what we saw, and nothing else.
I contacted them myself. I contacted Sirakova, I contacted Aneta Havrankova, and I also sent emails to Irazglas and Seznam. Not a single reply came back to me. Not to mention that not a single journalist contacted me as the other party, which I think independent media should do. They lie in the article, that's another thing. I saw various articles where they wrote that some random person, I won't comment on names, wrote something to them, said something, but those people do not actually exist. So, it's an article commissioned at the behest of Jakub Jahl. Not one single journalist decided to go to Africa and investigate it. Why? Jakub Jahl told me 4 years ago when I was with him in Africa. And I must point out, I am real, I am not AI, and we spent half a year together in Africa. Even back then, Jakub Jahl was telling me that he is friends with Tsirakova, and that they cooperate on some projects. I'm genuinely very sorry that when there is a victim who decides to speak on camera and tell their whole story, Jahl's supporters tear them down and turn everything against that victim. So how do we then protect victims?
In law, we have a principle that in sexual offenses, the best evidence comes from the victim. So if we have a victim who can narrate the events that happened to her or him, then what a journalist says, what a politician says, it is of no or little effect as far as the crimes committed are concerned. So since we have, for instance, because I only have, but we are told from reliable source that there are more victims than. I would like us to wait for the court to hear the testimonies of the victims, other witnesses, the medical practitioners who are also vital in sexual offenses. Then the court will come to a conclusion to give a verdict. Then they can voice their concerns, those Czech journalists. Him being white does not mean that he cannot be prosecuted by the Tanzanian law, the Tanzanian police. I have been to prison numerous times. I have seen prisoners who are white. They are Europeans from different nationalities. They have been prosecuted, they have been charged in our country, and they have been rightly convicted. So him being white, him being a politician, does not give him immunity. It won't help him in any way. If he's found to be guilty, he will be convicted, whether he's white, whether he has political support. Also, there are many politicians in our country who have also been imprisoned for offenses they have committed. So being backed up by someone rich, being white, it is immaterial when it comes to our laws in Tanzania. I am not scared. because I have been practicing. This is my 9th year, so I'm not that easy to shake.
The most important words from the part you've just heard are those of the lawyer herself, who recalls a fundamental principle. In cases of sexual violence, the victim's own testimony is the most crucial piece of evidence, not what a journalist says. That's why it is incomprehensible to us that journalists make no effort to contact these people and hear their story face to face.
Let's look even closer at how profound the manipulation is that some Czech journalists have committed in articles about this case. The very worst part is the difference in how the journalists treat Jakub Jahl and how they treat the witnesses and victims from Tanzania. Jahl is described in the articles as a YouTuber who just films videos, as a prestigious university student. At the same time, he is portrayed with full compassion as a victim who suffers from panic attacks and faces anonymous threats due to the accusations. On the other hand, what do the journalists write about the people in Tanzania? They are only alleged witnesses and alleged victims. Their direct speech is not quoted at all. Even though they testify in great detail in the documentary, their names or faces are not shown at all, even though they appear in the documentary. In the articles of these journalists, it looks as if Tanzanians are not even people who have any rights, as if the trauma they have experienced is not important at all, as if their voices have absolutely no right to be heard.
When you see this kind of argumentation in the articles, tell me, doesn't it occur to you that this is a form of racism? Because the entire narrative of such articles is built on a single premise. The word of a white European from a prestigious university automatically carries more weight than the voices of dozens of Africans and their children. Furthermore, the very headline screams, "A cult wants to destroy a Czech man. The state cannot protect him." Do you see the logic? According to the journalists, sufferings of a Czech student is literally a national tragedy. But what about the sufferings of people in Tanzania? This is a question that, by all accounts, does not trouble those journalists at all. Instead of seriously investigating accusations of pedophilia and sexual violence, which are among the most serious crimes in any legal system, they chose the path of ignorance, silencing, and ridicule.
Now, imagine you are in Violet's shoes. You still have visible scars on your body from a knife attack. Your entire life is marked by appalling trauma. And suddenly, you read articles where journalists write that your testimony is unreliable. They never reached out to you. They never spoke to you. They clearly show you that they are completely uninterested in your trauma. Instead, you see those journalists protecting the man who ruined your life. How they give him space to defend himself at length. How they uncritically present his every word while completely ignoring you, the victim. How would you feel?
Perhaps, now you understand why the legal representative from Tanzania decided to stand up for Violet, why she's doing everything she can to ensure the Tanzanian court hears Violet and all the witnesses, and why she is so determined to achieve justice, because someone has to do it. And believe me, when the legal representative was reading those articles, she gained even greater motivation to fight earnestly for the rights of Violet and other children.
However, ignoring and silencing the testimonies of Tanzanian residents is not the end of manipulation the journalists demonstrated. A fake witness also appeared in their articles. And now, please note, because this is truly scandalous. The journalist writes in their article, I quote, iRozglas.cz also contacted via WhatsApp the director of the orphanage where Jahl and other volunteers worked. She flatly denied that the things the respondents mention in the video happened at the orphanage in Moshi. Sounds convincing, right? The orphanage director, whose name they didn't even mention, confirms Jahl's innocence. But there's one fundamental problem. We personally visited that orphanage whose director is Stella. And the educator who has worked there since 2016 confirmed to us on camera that Jakub Jahl never worked at that orphanage, and what's more, she never even saw him.
It is as if you asked the owner of a random pizzeria in Prague if Jakub Jahl had ever broken a plate there. Of course not, because he has never even been there. But the journalist presents this as alleged proof that Jakub Jahl is innocent.
Here, a fundamental question should be asked. Did the journalist intentionally use a false witness as part of Jahl's defense? Or did Jakub Jahl give him the number for an orphanage where he never worked, and the journalist was so unprofessional that he did not verify it at all? We do not know the answer, but in both cases, the outcome is the same. Readers are misled.
We will now call Stella from the Kilimanjaro orphanage. A journalist from iRozglas wrote to her. And Stella replied that absolutely no abuse was happening at her orphanage. This is absolutely logical, because Jakub Jahl did not spend time at her orphanage. All the testimonies, which were part of the documentary, and which the witnesses spoke about, related either to the Nature and Skills Center or to the house in Rau. If the E-Rozglas journalist got the contact from Jakub Jahl, it was intentionally a false contact to cover the tracks. So we will now try to call Stella and ask her how often Jakub Jahl attended her orphanage and how much time he spent there. I believe you will hear the answer yourselves.
Kwa kuchagua Vodacom. Namba unayoipigia haipatikani kwa sasa. Tafadhali jaribu tena baadaye. Thank you for choosing Vodacom. The number you're calling is currently not reachable. Please try again later.
Not available. Unfortunately, we did not manage to reach the orphanage director by phone, but on the very same day, we met with her employee and asked her about the situation.
Yeah, I am there at the Kilimanjaro orphanage since 2016 until now. My name is Sia.
Could you please say who is your boss and who opened the orphanage?
My boss at there is Madam Stella. Yeah, she's there with us.
Do you know how she didn't answer our phone?
I don't know, but she's got a funeral few days ago, so I think she's confused.
Do you know the name Jacob Jahl? Did you see him? Did you see him?
I don't know him, and I'm not sure if I already met with him, so I can't, and I can't explain about him for anything because I don't know him.
Do you know if he helped somehow? Maybe did Stella mention his name sometime?
No, but maybe if he's communicating with Stella, but for me, I can't say anything.
And do you remember any of his friends? Because he today told us that he used to send his friend Martin or maybe others to bring some stuff for Juma and Arjun.
Yes, I remember them, Martin.
Martin.
Yes.
And how many times he was there?
I don't know.
But do you remember him?
Yes, I remember.
You've heard it yourselves. The educatrice, who has worked at the orphanage since 2016, doesn't know Jakub Jahl at all. And Jakub doesn't even have any video on his Africa-related channel showing him spending time at the Kilimanjaro Children and Youth Center. The only videos from Stella's orphanage are those when his friend, Martin Chicho, went there to see the boys Juma and Arjuni, after Nature and Skills had already been destroyed and Jakub Jahl had fled Africa.
As we already know from the first documentary, Jahl spent most of his time precisely at the Nature and Skills Children's Center. This is also evidenced by his channel, where he has the most videos from this very location. So why didn't the journalist reach out to people from this center? After all, for example, a woman named Teresa still works there, and unlike the director Stella, she knows Jakub Jahl very well.
Before we move on to the next part of our documentary, we would like to give the floor once again to Tatiana Finikova, who decided to search through her old conversations with Jakub Jahl and found something that will surely interest you.
When I saw Jakub Jahl's reaction to this documentary and the reactions of various people and also journalists, I decided to look for some screenshots, videos, and photos. So, on February 14th, immigration police took us. Immigration swooped in. There were 4 armed people who started banging on our gate. We had to open it. As we were scared, Miroslav Katunsky was hiding. He managed to hide. But they took me, Jakub Jahl, and Martin Chicho. They forced us to get into a car without documents and drove us to the immigration office. It was only at the immigration office that I found out why they had actually locked us up. They took me aside and started interrogating me about whether I knew that Jakub Jahl and Martin Chicho were carrying out illegal activities in Tanzania. promoting Satanism and homosexuality, and whether I knew anything about them abusing children. They also asked me questions about whether I could confirm if it was actually true, and so on. Next, we can look at proof that we were indeed there, and that it's not some AI. Here you go. Martin Chicho posted photos, as you can see. This is that room. While we were at the embassy, Lenka Shulkova tried to help us and wrote to the embassy. Here's the email. And here you can actually see what the embassy replied. So apparently they already had their experience with Jakub Jahl. And now let's look at Jakub's reaction. Do not write to the embassy, it will cause us more trouble. As I already mentioned in the previous documentary, when we got out of the immigration office, a senator helped us to a great extent. Already back then, he told Jakub Jahl that he wanted me, and Jakub Jahl knew very well that was no joke, but he joked together with him, okay. Eventually, the senator arrived with 3 armed men, saying I had 5 minutes to pack. And Jakub Jahl took my mobile phone. Jakub Jahl kept insisting that this wasn't true. Can you see this? I'm in my chat. The blue voice messages are my voice messages. And here you go.
I don't even know what else you want me to keep saying. That's just how it is here, okay? Some guy showed up, a warlord, with machine guns, and another guy. Basically, either we hand over Tanya or give them money. Those are the only options. I'm not kidding. That's just the way it is. We cannot do anything about it. We don't have that money. Decide however you want, whether it's moral or immoral.
I will never do that.
Well, Tanya says she won't do it, so that pretty much ends the discussion unless you force her. I don't have the money and I'm honestly unbelievably exhausted. I just want to go back to Europe. Martin and I were simply flying home next week. We've been trying to make things work here, but you can see that whenever anything happens, you twist it against us, saying it's our fault that the senator suddenly showed up. Seriously, this isn't fair. We're really busting our butts here. I know you're sending money, but we are literally dying here. It's just really not fair what you're doing to us.
Unfortunately, I did not record the calls, but I can say with a clear conscience that even back then he was threatening my mom. Just like my mom mentioned in the previous documentary, it was either she sends the money or he would simply sell me. The voice message is only proof of that. I note that in the voice message, he already softened his tone a little bit. Here's also proof of that. You can see right after that voice message, Monica writes to him here, telling Kubo to consider how he talks to us. Now I'm opening the chat with Jakub Jahl. His account was deleted, so the photo isn't showing. But you can clearly see that this is a real chat between me and him. Jakub Jahl stated that he never held the bank card. Here we can look at that. We see that Jakub Jahl didn't spend time with the children at all. Many times I wrote to him asking, "Where are you? Come here." Instead of being with me, he would call me and tell me to come get the money. So I think this is already the main proof that I really had to beg him for that money when I needed it for the children. This is clear proof that Jakub Jahl and Martin Chicho held the transparent account card over that entire time. There is a lot more evidence. Unfortunately, we cannot publish all the communication, but it is part of the investigation. And I'd like to show you one more piece of evidence. When Jakub Jahl fled Africa on April 16th, you can clearly see here how I asked him to hand over the card. I will send it to you with someone. Of course, he didn't send me the card and took it with him to the Czech Republic, along with all the money. And here's another piece of evidence which I think clearly shows why he wrote to me, that he would give me money, send the card, and so on. He had control of the transparent account card the whole time, just to be sure. Let's click, and you can see perfectly well that it's Jakub Jahl.
Alatra keeps claiming that some Miss Finikova was sending me money. You won't find it. You will never in your life find any proof that Miss Finikova ever sent me any money or anything like that. It's total nonsense. It really makes me like, ugh, but you know what? When those people know nothing about it, they can say whatever they want. So, you collected the money for Africa. Did you do any accounting? Dear Mary, can you show me where you got the information that I ever had access to any financial account? So what happened to the money you were raising for the local people there? Where, Natalka? Tell me please who sent it to me and where?
It helps us even if you send 100 crowns. Of course, 500 is great, and 1,000 would be amazing. And if you're like MPs or wealthy people, then of course you can send more. We'd be really grateful.
But even if you donate 100 or 2, which some people do, if everyone chipped in like that.
And euros too. 5 euros is great.
Exactly, but of course 50 is better. Of course 50 is better.
I'm looking forward to the volunteers. It means more progress, it means more work, more money, more money.
Every day, whenever we happen to have a free moment, I'm messaging my friends, my buddies on Facebook, and I'm always begging.
Of course 50 is better.
And 1,000 would be amazing.
Tell me, please, who sent it to me and where?
I want to also ask you the following. In his reaction to the documentary, Jahl Jahl explains that he was never alone in Africa, that volunteers were always there, and that he spent all his time with volunteers, never traveling around by himself. Based on your experience when you were there with him, is this true?
It is absolutely not true. Jahl Jahl didn't spend even a quarter of the time with the children that we did. He only ever went to see the kids when he needed to take pictures for his content, or when he needed to beg people for money, so that they send it to him. He often attached the number of his personal bank account, in most cases, and he was focused on his various projects, such as the Rastafari project. He would hang out with the local gang, and many times he didn't show up for a couple of days. That's the reality. Jahl Jahl was there with volunteers in many cases, but even locals can confirm that there were times when he was in Africa alone. Especially at the beginning, when he came there for the first time, he was there alone, which Jahl Jahl himself confirms in his videos. You just need to really Google and watch those videos. There are many of them.
But even when he was there with you, were there more Czech and Slovak volunteers with you? Were you always together with those volunteers? But Jahl Jahl wasn't with you?
Jahl Jahl was with us very little. He usually took off and left for the whole day somewhere. Sometimes he left for 2 or 3 days. So he was really with us very little, and left the volunteers by themselves. He even left his childhood friend there, and fled Africa, while she remained there alone with us.
We know that representatives of the Pirate Party were in Tanzania with Jahl Jahl. And my question is, whether you know them too, or whether you met them there, in Africa.
I personally did not meet a single member of the Pirate Party in Africa. However, I know from locals, and also from photos on various social networks, that Antonín Šejbal, who is a representative of the Pirate Party, was there with him. I also know from locals that he went together with Jahl Jahl very often to the local gang, and smoked weed together there on a daily basis. I also know about Jahl NEVER, who wasn't there personally, as far as I know, but he was a great supporter of Jahl and sent him a lot of money. The Pirate Party very actively supported Jahl Jahl. I myself visited their Brno branch to pick up T-shirts as promotional material, which they sent to Tanzania. There are photos of locals wearing them. Little kids were even forced to draw pirate symbols on paper, and those posters were subsequently brought to the Pirate Party in the Czech Republic. The party used them as promotional materials.
Let's return to Jahl Jahl's activities in the orphanages. During our stay, we decided to verify one more important thing. In the first documentary, the staff of the Nature and Skills Center described specific cases of child abuse at their center. They testified that the boys Abdul and Exaudi, whom Yaqub Jahl brought from Dar es Salaam and who spent a lot of time with him, started having huge problems at school. They began to exhibit homosexual behavior towards their classmates, and both of them said that Yaqub Jahl was the one who taught them that.
In order to give you more of new evidence in this documentary, we personally visited the school that Abdul and Exaudi had been attending. And yes, the teachers confirmed it to us. They described the problems associated with homosexual behavior that they had with these boys.
Here we are in the primary school where Abdul and Exaudi was taken by Jacobo. So right now we are going inside the school and we will talk to the teachers of Abdul and Exaudi. And you will hear about the bad behavior from Abdul, and I think that the teacher will talk much about that, and it will be similar like we tell you what happens at the center. Yes, the teacher, they call us, because by that time, Jacobo, he was not around here in Tanzania. So all the problem, teachers, they used to call us. Yes. But also, because you want to take an interview, yes, to see if they will agree on that or not, because we didn't prepare them. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he remember Abdul and Exaudi. It's about 4 years ago, but he remember him. We are coming out from Exaudi and Abdul's school. We talked to the teacher, and they agree that Abdul was doing those bad things, but they are not ready to talk to the camera because this is the government school and they need an authority from our government. Without that, they can't talk on the camera or they can't talk as a voice.
Even though we couldn't film the interview with the teachers directly on camera because, according to Tanzanian law, public employees cannot appear on camera, we have confirmation by them Czech journalists can speak to those teachers themselves and then write an article.
During this trip to Tanzania, we also visited the Rastafarian community in Moshi, because Yaqub Jahl published a series of videos on his channel where he talks about how he helps Rastafarians and what projects he is carrying out for them, that he is even building an entire temple for them. But, as we already know from the first documentary, he raised money for this from people whom he called dumb whites from Europe.
Maybe you know, like Czechoslovakia, yeah, like this. It's a small country, very crazy Zumbaland. Yeah, very, yeah. Very crazy, it is like this. So many stupid people. There are, yeah. Yes. No. Yes, of course. Why? So many. Because they are fanatics. Yeah. They are like.
But you know, Zungu people, a lot of information. They know a lot of information, but stupid.
In the Internet Archive, we found that on his website, chesco.africa, Yaqub Jahl published an itemized list of things he was supposed to purchase for this community with the money he collected. And to make it even more interesting, in 2024 he wrote a bachelor's thesis about Rastafarianism titled Ganja in the Faith and Practice of Rastafarians. So it looks like Rastafarian culture really grew close to his heart.
The first time when Jacob came, he came here as a tourist, looking for some gift, some souvenir to brought it home. So I met him and we had some conversation together, and he told me his idea, his opinion, things he want to do here. So the first time I found it was a really good idea, but after spent some time with him, I came realize it was not good idea because as I told you, this is our church as a Rasta's church. He was like pretending he is also a Rasta, but he's not a Rasta. So when he came here, he found this already project, and he promised the Rasta communities he will die or will support some stuff, but actually he didn't.
He opened a project in Czech Republic, like a fund. He wrote an information on internet, how much money he gave there. We will read it now. And if you can say if it's true, if he really bring there those stuffs.
Okay.
I will read it in Swahili. Rasta projects. Temple construction. 225,000. Temple benches, 90,000. Musical instruments, 45,000. Pan-African school. Foundation plus roof, 250,000. Administrative fee, 150,000. 400,000. Copying of Rasta books, 45,000. Translation of Rasta books, 30,000. Transportation, 120,000. Meditation community mats, 70,000. Transportation, 20,000.
What I remember, the first time, as I told you, when Jacobo came here, he was like a tourist, and he was pretending like he has a Rasta spiritual to support the local Rasta and to build our temple. But Rastas told him about some stuff which we need here, like materials, okay, like a chair, books, and some money, and nini. But when we told him what we need, actually he wrote down on his notebook, but he didn't do anything. He didn't buy. So we also don't know if he collected the money from the Czech to bring to Rastas. We don't know those things because we didn't see anything from him. He used to come here and smoking weed and talking and blah, blah, but he does nothing for our community Rastas. So he didn't buy anything. So if he collected money from the Czech, he's a liar. He's a thief. All I met him when he need to smoke weed, like 4 days in a week or 5 days in a week. Like only 2 days he can miss in a week, but only from Monday to Friday he come here to smoke weed.
He also changed the place because he never do nothing about his promises. He promises can support Rasta build a church, but he write down what we need, like all the material and stuff, but we end up seeing nothing from him. Sometimes we do some like this kind of show. We will organize some event. Actually, it was an event. I call some of my friends. I have some friends, they work in a radio station here in Moshi Town. I call my friends, we meet with Mbuyu, then we sit down together, we organize the event. So when the day of event reached, we all go there and the music was playing there. Mbuyu was drinking beer and this other friend, I know him by the name of Mwana Malundi. So they were drinking, but after the show ended, it didn't end well actually. Middle of the night, Mbuyu started to fight with me, like, you were telling me like people, they're gonna come, a lot of people here, like they were gonna make money. He was expecting to make a lot of money there, so it didn't end well. So we fight with him, like, no, I'm gonna take you to police and stuff. Start to fight with this other radio presenter. Don't talk to me, I'm going to police. I said, no, you can't take me to the police because I didn't fight with you. We were having a plan, event plan. That was a plan, so we can bring communities together and trying to tell them what you can do, teach them about Rastas, not like making a lot of money. And I leave him alone. I didn't be close with him from there. But one of my friends, he also came to me and told me that he was arrested by Mbuyu. I asked him why. He said, Mbuyu took me there to police. Why? He said, he forced me to have sex with him. And I didn't want to do that. So he ended up paying police and they locked me up. I tell him, sorry. I just know Mbu is not a good person. Once I start to investigate his page and like from Facebook or Instagram, I saw some other Satanist stuff and this gay and lesbian. I just tell other of my friends and some other artists and rastas that this guy is a bad guy. He's not good guy for us. He's a Satan.
How would you describe his behavior?
His behavior, according to the local children, some other children spoke crazy about him. He said sometimes he was abusing children in a wrong way, like giving children the weed or cigarettes or alcohol for the little children. It's not something good. And also was pretending like he cared children or he loved children, but in a wrong way. He was like doing some other things, like teaching them how to be lesbian, how to be a gay, practicing those activities with the children.
I can tell anything straight to his face. I can talk to him like this. And I can even slap his face for what he was doing, and it was not right.
The words of the people whom Jakob Jahl wrote his bachelor's thesis about can be summarized like this: liar, thief, Satan. Even the Rastafarian community, people we assumed might be Jahl's friends, hasn't found a single good word for him. They too confirmed what we had already understood when filming our first documentary. Do you remember the single mother who lived in a clay house and took care of her children? Jakob Jahl came to her, promised money, took photos of her children with banners saying, "Thank you for your support," and then they never saw him again. And the Rastafarians only confirmed to us with their testimony that this scenario was repeated over and over again. He promised something everywhere, filmed videos everywhere, raised money for everyone, but then he simply disappeared, went somewhere else, and gave nothing to anyone.
Now we will show you something that may surprise you. We decided to call Jakob Jahl directly from Tanzania, and together with some of the witnesses from the first documentary and the Rastafarians whom you've just heard.
We are currently in the presence of witnesses who testified that Jakob Jahl committed sexual and physical violence against them, and children, allegedly injecting children with unknown substances. In journalism, space is also given to the other party to express their stance. So now, together, in the presence of the witnesses, we will call Jakob Jahl and give him an opportunity to talk to these people, ask them questions, or tell them anything. Let's do it. Oh, he's not available.
I can try to WhatsApp.
Okay, let's try WhatsApp.
It's ringing.
Your enemies, you think that he can pick up your phone?
Will we also try the other number?
Yes.
We have second number, so maybe we can try this.
Volaný je momentálně nedostupný. O jeho dostupnosti vás budeme informovat prostřednictvím SMS.
Can you say it in English?
Phone is off both of the numbers, and on WhatsApp he is not answering. Okay.
I can try the first number one more time.
Let's try the first one more time.
Účastník není dostupný. Prosím, zavolejte později. The person you are calling is not available at the moment. Please try again later.
So, friends, the situation is unfortunately such that we gathered here to call Jakob Jahl and give him an opportunity to express himself. Regretfully, the network keeps saying that the subscriber is unavailable. So this task and mission that we set for ourselves, unfortunately, did not succeed the way we wanted. But I think that even in such a situation, we can give space to the people who gathered here and wanted to talk to Jakob, so that they can at least tell him on camera what they want to say. You can translate it to English.
Let me ask you, Mr. Jacobo.
I want to speak to him.
Hello, Mr. Jacobo. I know you know this face, and I know you remember where this face came from. Now I want to ask you, where is my motherfucker money? You remember you stole my money and my art painting from my studio?
Hey, Jacob, this is Modest, and this is reality. It's not Hollywood, it's not AI. It's Modest is speaking. So, Jacobo, you know, you did a lot of bad things to our children here in Moshi. So I'm just standing right here in front of the camera, and I know you're gonna see this video. So I have few questions I want to ask you. You just abuse our children, and you run away, and you give us like many promise. You didn't do it. So we stand until these children and I, as a victim, we can get our right. So Jacobo, wherever you are and wherever you hear this voice, I want to tell you the thing you've been did to me or to us is not good. So you're supposed to pay back for this. Maybe you can go to jail, or maybe you should do equal right and justice to all these children.
Everyone is here. These are all witnesses you met with them. All of them, you left the pain in their life. Some of them, you just tricked them and go with money. And some of them, you just lied to them. And some other, a small kid, you taught them that bad behavior, like doing sex, like being a gay, which is not good. And it has been affected the society too much. So you left the bad impact in your society. You can see everyone here is not happy with you. So we are here speaking very painful to you. Brother, you have to pay it. And we will really do currently here, working hard for this so that you'll be returned back here and pay for it. Or otherwise, you'll be responsible wherever you are in legal by using the legal, the laws according to your country or our country. Believe it, we are very affected and we are very concentrated in this one, and we are very serious in this one. You have to pay back what you did to our society. There are other people also want to talk to you. You have this guy also is complaining for you here.
Yeah, my only question is that why did you come all over and try to pretend to people, to the Rasta people, Rasta family? You did such a bad thing to us, and that is hurting us. It's hurting us very badly. And we can tell you that God is going to punish you. What goes around comes around.
Hello, stupid guy. Did you remember me? You took me from the border station at Kaliman. So you did a lot of things, a lot of problems in our societies, like sexual abuse, like physical abuse, and in our society, they saw us we are liar, because you treat the kid like a dogs. You will pay it, Jacob.
Hello, it's me, Moses. I hope Jacob will know me. We worked together for a long time, and you know what you did. You lie us many time. You promise us you give us opportunity, but nothing you give us. Yeah, and now you say you don't know us. I hope we'll pay for this, brother, because you know me very well. I know you much, yeah. For what you did for our kids.
I remember that's one day I told you one thing, that you can fool people sometimes, but you can't fool all people all the time. And this is your time. You think that you are stupid? No, we are clever enough, but we was respecting you as a Muzungu. We know that African we are poor, but these things you have done to our country will be back. We hate you, and we don't want to see you in our country again. We don't waiting for you to help us. We can help by ourselves. Don't care about us. Don't think about us. Go to hell, you fucking guy.
So you've heard it. One after another. Modest, Bob, Stanley, Moses, Rama, the Rastafarians, all with a clear message. You will pay for what you did. Yet, what is Jakub Jahl's reaction? He doesn't even pick up the phone. A few hours later, I received a message. Why are you calling me, David? I'm not interested in talking to you. We'll talk in court. But the question is, which court does Jakub Jahl have in mind? The one that will take place in Tanzania for the crimes he committed against little children and adults, according to witnesses' testimonies, including sexual violence against minors, or the one where Jakub Jahl is trying to silence me by suing me for defamation? Of course, he has every right to do so, but that doesn't mean he will force me to close my eyes to what Tanzanians have told me. On the contrary, I consider it my moral duty to do everything I can to ensure the voices of those Tanzanian children and adults are heard and justice is served.
The fact is that if Jakub Jahl was truly innocent and had sufficient evidence that his alleged 3 years of humanitarian work in Africa brought any benefit, he could have shown this evidence long ago, especially since, according to Tatiana Finikova, he raised up to 2 million crowns for it from sponsors. However, Jakub Jahl only fanatically screams about cults, conspiracy, and a hateful campaign, which is actually the typical tactic of a perpetrator. When he is confronted by his victims, he does not defend himself by claiming he did not commit the act. He defends himself by attacking the person who exposed his actions. He constantly repeats, "You are cult members, you are paid off." This is a campaign. That is Jakub's entire defense.
But let's ask a simple question. Jakub Jahl went to Tanzania for 3 years. These people know him personally. They know his face, voice, and behavior. They have joint photos with him. They appear in his videos. They remember specific dates, places, and events. They describe various details, and their testimonies complement each other. We only spent a few days with them, while he claims we convinced all of them to lie about him. So, according to him, we arrived in Tanzania, and within a few days, we convinced dozens of people to betray a man they had known for 3 years for the sake of someone they don't know at all. And all of this as part of an alleged global campaign and conspiracy? Does this really make sense to you?
Now that we have heard all of this, let's return one last time to how Czech journalists are reporting on this entire case. We already analyzed manipulations in their articles, but there is one more essential dimension. How is it that journalists completely ignore Jakub Jahl's overall personality profile? We already said that Jahl is portrayed in the articles as a victim who is suffering. We read that someone is anonymously threatening Jahl, that he is having mental problems because of this, and that his family is endangered.
But why do the journalists not mention that Jahl already used exactly the same arguments in another case, specifically in the case where he falsely accused Civic Democratic Party politicians, about whom he also claimed that these politicians were endangering his family and threatening him? How did that case turn out? He lost in all courts.
Why are journalists not mentioning that case at all? In fact, it is publicly available information. Moreover, during the court proceedings, an expert opinion was prepared about Jakub Jahl, where an expert in clinical psychology states that Jakub Jahl has tendencies toward distorting facts and is unreliable as a witness.
And why do the journalists not mention that Jakub Jahl lost a lawsuit in August 2025 for spreading lies? Specifically against the charity organization Chance for Children, the court ordered him to remove videos and publicly apologize.
This way, we can go on and on. These are not isolated cases. It's a consistent pattern of behavior. Jakub Jahl has a decade of controversies behind him. In 2011, he burned an Israeli flag in front of the Pilsen synagogue. In the same year, he desecrated a monument to the American army. In 2012, he admitted in court that he had about 20 offenses on his record and appeared in a report by the Ministry of Interior on extremism in the Czech Republic.
Later on, Jakub Jahl founded the Community of Satan, where he promoted that sex is a divine path and orgasm is a taste of eternity. He had literally written on his website, I quote, "If heaven were real, we would fuck our way to salvation." Now, let's recall that in the African school where Jakub Jahl worked, he painted the same satanic symbols, such as the pentagram, which you now see in the photo. And if he painted the same symbols to children in schools, does that mean he also wanted to teach children the same ideology he had written on the pages of his Satan community? And what about former members of that community, such as Svatoplukisek? He describes Jahl as a paranoid person who forbade people from communicating with each other and accused them of subverting the community when they questioned his practices.
We also have another case, the Pilsen language school Perfect World, which Jahl came into conflict with. This school also describes Jakub Jahl as a failed university student who already caused problems for many people in the past through false slander, distortion of facts, and tarnishing good names of people.
Let's recall the testimonies of Tatiana Finikova and Monika Shurinova.
He shared quite a lot about his life, including admitting that he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which, as far as I know, he still isn't getting treatment for. I think he's not being treated. Otherwise, things would likely be different, including his behavior. Also, many times he would say something and the next day he didn't remember it. So indeed, it's like a split personality. It truly is a split personality.
He's a sick person. He only cares about himself and can hurt anyone in any way possible. He will stop at nothing.
He often admitted that sometimes he didn't even know who was inside him. That's how he described it to me during his weaker moments, mostly when he was under the influence of something, but even when he wasn't. Although, honestly, he was on substances every day, so you couldn't even tell when he had taken something and when he hadn't. He described that sometimes he didn't know which person was inside him because he truly had two personalities or even more.
It's been 5 years since I was there, and he is still messing around, doing worse and worse things. Someone really needs to finally stop him. Someone needs to take this seriously because it's not normal. One man should not be able to cause so much harm. Among people, on social media, and everywhere, he discredits foundations that try to build something meaningful and attacks people who are doing real, honest work. And he just feeds, lives off views, shows off his ego, and hurts people who are working hard. That's not fair. It shouldn't be like this. This has to be resolved, and someone must take real action and finally stop him from continuing to do evil.
Let's look at what photographs Jakub Jahl published on his social media just a few years ago. Or let's look at his book about Marilyn Manson, where, among other things, he details sadism, sexual humiliation, and abuse of women that Manson allegedly committed. In these parts of his book, Jakub Jahl associates himself with Manson. For example, look at the following quote from his book. Manson probably seeks out girlfriends who allow themselves to be abused by him. There is no point in denying that. The question is only how freely and voluntarily women enter into such relationships, and whether Manson commits any crime at all. I actually understand Manson's pain in a certain way. Or here's another quote. Manson was not an insensitive monster. On the contrary, he was quite a sensitive man who was aware of the complexity of relationships and how difficult it is to find an ideal partner.
Let's recall his problematic relationship with drugs, which he never hid. During his stay in Tanzania, Jakub Jahl himself claimed in his videos that he was high every day. And not only that. Let's also recall the African drug cut, which, according to witnesses, Jakub Jahl consumed every day.
It is known that kat is a dangerous substance, especially for people with impaired mental health. This drug contains cathinone and cathine, stimulant substances similar to amphetamines. With regular use, it can significantly increase aggression, induce paranoia and psychotic states. And what is crucial, according to studies from Ethiopia or Yemen where this drug is widespread, consumption of kat significantly increases the tendency to commit sexual violence.
When you realize that, according to his own words and other testimonies, Jakub Jahl was practically constantly under the influence of drugs, and then you read testimonies about his aggressive and sexually violent behavior, a disturbing picture emerges, which the journalists who so fervently defend him completely ignore. Instead of looking at the overall context, years of manipulative behavior, lies, fraud, accusations of other people, drug abuse, and mental problems. They portray him as a student at a prestigious university who became a victim of a hateful campaign. Even though all this information is publicly available, court decisions, witness testimonies, and documented cases. Why have the journalists withheld this information from the public? Would it perhaps break their narrative of the innocent victim of an alleged pro-Russian cult?
This is the only thing that interests journalists in this severe case. They are not interested in the fate of children and people in Tanzania. They are not interested in Jakub Jahl's overall personality profile. The only thing that interests them are conspiracy theories about an alleged dangerous pro-Russian cult, which is actually banned in Russia itself. How is that possible?
The answer is simple. When you look at who is actually defending Jakub Jahl, you will start seeing a clear connection. Those are people who call themselves exposers of sects and cults. They use the same rhetoric and act in a coordinated manner. And the whole thing is very reminiscent of the anti-cult network associated with Alexander Dvorkin and his Russian organization, Russiers. Here, I'd like to note that Alexander Dvorkin, much like Jakub Jahl, is known for his problems with drugs and mental health. In Dvorkin's case, this is confirmed by his medical records on mental disorders and his registration at a psychiatric and neurological outpatient clinic.
The structure that Dvorkin started building 30 years ago is closely connected to the Russian Orthodox Church and, according to many indications, is controlled by the FSB. For decades, its activity has been accompanied by organized campaigns against innocent people based on falsified evidence devised by members of this network themselves. And what is the worst part? Those cult experts, as well as journalists associated with them, have been systematically dismantling the foundations of democracy for decades, dividing society, causing repression, and violating the freedom of thought, freedom of speech, conscience, and religion, all of that under the pretense of fighting cults and sects.
Today, we observe how these Russian methods are being exported to Europe and across the entire world, and we see how they are being used in Jakub Jahl's defense. While representatives of this network defend Jakub under the pretext of exposing dangerous cults, real independent journalists, who are not connected to Russiers in any way, remain silent because they fully understand what is happening and do not want to be drawn into it. After all, this case is now being discussed at a high level in the US Congress. It was there that evidence was presented confirming the existence of a coordinated network, which operates according to the same schemes as in the case of Jakub Jahl, and which hides behind slogans and arguments about fighting cults and sects.
Now, we will give you the last, very important piece of information. On the last day of our stay in Tanzania, we met with Violet's legal representative. What she told us about the further development of the entire case is the reason why we filmed this documentary. Because while in the Czech Republic, people are writing about a campaign in Tanzania, as we have already said in this documentary, real legal proceedings are underway, proceedings that should lead to justice for Violet and a number of other victims.
So I would like to ask you if you can comment news in the case with Violet.
Last Friday, we went to the police station so that she could give her official statement. So we were assigned an investigator, and we are supposed to go back today so she can complete the rest of her statement. Then after today, hopefully after today's statement, we'll be given the PF3 form to go to the hospital for medical examination.
We heard that you decided to open fundraising also for other kids. If it's true, can you please comment it?
Okay, I had the opportunity to view the two films. The previous one that was shot by you, by the two of you, and the other one by the other journalists. And in the two films, after I viewed the videos on YouTube, I noticed there are about 14 victims. So I believe that all of those victims, they need support. Sorry. So I believe that all those victims do need support. They need legal assistance so that they could get justice for what has been done to them. And since what has been done to them is so bad, most of them, I think, they have psychological issues. They need psychological help, counseling, so that they can be able to go back to society. They need reintegration back to society. And as much as I would like to help them all, I cannot do it by myself. I think I need support. I think I need to find some other lawyers who can help me, because we can do that. I've been doing a lot of cases pro bono. It's not news. Most of the people here in Kilimanjaro know that I take on cases pro bono. But 14 victims is too much, and most of them are children, and most of them live in rural areas. Even the transportation to go there requires funds. Even to visit the guardians, the people close to the children, most likely to collect together evidence, people who must have seen, who must have received these victims immediately after the act. And maybe to make sure they go to the police station to follow up how they make their statements for the medical examination, for them to go to court to prepare their testimonies. All of that requires a lot of work, a lot of funds, so I need more manpower, so to speak. So if that could happen, I believe these children could get justice for what has been done to them.
In conclusion of this documentary, we'd like to share with you the words of a person whom we had the honor of meeting personally on our return journey from Tanzania. We stopped for one day in Rome, where we spent an unforgettable evening with Pastor Mark Burns, spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump, spiritual diplomat, and a man who actively defends human rights and freedoms, and who, along with Allatra President Marina Ovtsinova, visited the Vatican on a working trip.
We had several hours of discussion with Mr. Burns about peace, protection of human rights, and the rights of children in Africa. Mr. Burns confirmed to us that he is following the entire case of Jahl NEVER. And not only that, he told us he is willing to help as much as possible to attain justice, because this is not just the story of a group of children in Tanzania who suffered due to the actions of a white man from Europe. It's a story about why we must give a voice to those who don't have it, why we must stand up for those who are vulnerable, and why we must fight for justice at any cost. The thing is that everyone has the right to justice, regardless of where they come from, what their skin color is, or how powerful the person who harmed them may be.
So those children who may watch this know that there are people who do care, people who will fight, people who will get talked about negatively in the media and do not care. They will not go hiding under a rock. They will just get a microphone and they will talk louder. They will scream louder. They will chase down every demon that comes from the gates of hell. And to know that as long as there's people like the volunteers of Allatra, then there's a chance that peace can come to them because somebody cares for them. That's one of the first questions that was asked to me when I interviewed with Allatra and I discovered who you all were. And your interview just blew up all over the world. More than CNN, more than Fox News, more than MSNBC. Every person in the world should have an advocate.
Wow.
A person like Allatra that will fight for them, that young girl that's in Tanzania that I'm told now is doing better now. She's, because of you all and others that have supported her, she's now learning how to do hair. She's gonna launch her own business because of you all. She didn't kill herself. She didn't give up, but she had some advocate named Allatra and the other volunteers to fight for her.
How should countries, at whole, how should countries react if they really follow the rule that children's best interests are the most important thing?
Well, if that really mattered, meaning that the countries will make decisions based off of the interests of the children, then they would have locked up Jacob's assets, right? Interpol would have an international warrant for his arrest. Mossad will be looking for him. Everyone, the CIA would be looking for him. He would not have a place to hide. He would be considered a terrorist. And the resources that is used to go after terrorists around the world should be used to come after Jacob. And by the time I'm done with this interview, that might be the case, Jacob. I want you to know that because we're taking this thing very seriously. And the fact that there's big money behind it, and people are even attacking you all. They're attacking President Trump. The same people that's attacking President Trump is attacking Allatra. The same people that's attacking President Trump is protecting Jacob. This is why we have to make a change. This is why we have to put a stop to this. But the reality of it is, the nation should be reacting like this. You shut down Jacob's assets, and if Jacob's assets are not being shut down, then we tariff the world out of the Czech Republic, who's supposed to be one of our partners, until they get to the bottom of finding where Jacob is and making sure that he pays for the crimes that he's done. Especially, we're talking about trafficking children. And instead, it sounds like, based off of your preliminary reports, that the Czech Republic is protecting him. The reality of it is, Interpol should have an award for his arrest. There should be an international warrant for his arrest. right now where everyone is searching for this individual. I'm just so grateful for the work that you all have done already to help identify this evil person so that the whole world will see who he is and the evil that they've done to these kids. But you all are raising the alarm, and that's why we're having this interview today. I believe that this next documentary or this next message that's going to get out, we're putting Jacob on notice right now. Jacob needs to realize that we're not going to leave Jacob alone. We're going to continue to go after Jacob. We're going to continue to get to the bottom. I am going to make sure that everybody in the United States of America know what Jacob has done and what the Czech Republic is allowing to happen under their rule. I don't know if they know about it or not because the relationships with the United States and the Czech Republic is pretty strong. They're one of our allies. So trust me when I tell you, Jacob, your days are numbered, sir. Trust me, we're coming after you. We're not going to stop until we get you in jail.
In conclusion, we would like to offer our thanks. We thank the legal representative in Tanzania for her work. We thank Mark Burns for his support. We also express our gratitude to the Vatican for its efforts focused on caring for people. We also thank the Jesuit order for their work dedicated to serving others, especially protecting those who live in poverty, in vulnerable conditions, and defending human dignity. We thank everyone who is fighting to make our world a better place.